Goeiedag, good day, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world. And you know what? You realize what a small world it actually is when you have the Guptas coming knocking at your door here in Queensland, Australia. I kid you not. The same family who completely rorted Eskom took billions of rands out of South Africa through the state capture, and who've been let off the hook by a corrupt judicial system in South Africa. It's quite extraordinary. And what I've uncovered is that Adani, which is a current large coal mine project, which is under consideration by the Queensland government and the Australian federal government for approval, even to be subsidized by taxpayers. Can you believe that? That's starting to sound like South Africa, isn't it? But one of the people involved is apparently the Gupta family, who were pivotal to state capture in South Africa. Same mob. I'll read you the article. The Adani Group has become embroiled in a corruption scandal in South Africa after a series of leaked emails revealed the Indian power company was in talks to do a weapons deal with the controversial Gupta family. Adani Mining, which is behind the Carmichael mine, the world's biggest new thermal coal project in the Galilee Basin in Queensland, is owned by Adani Enterprises. It is Adani Enterprises which has been identified in the leaked emails as being in discussions with the Gupta family to enter the arms business. The unfolding scandal will lend further credence to calls that Adani should not pass the fit and proper person test and be granted larger taxpayer subsidies to build its coal mine and railway in Australia. Adani has been gifted an unlimited water license by the Queensland government and royalties deferral arrangements. The federal government, via its Northern Australian Infrastructure Facility, or NAIF, is considering a $1 billion discounted loan to a Cayman Island-controlled Adani entity to build a railway line. Tax-free. These guys are good, you gotta admit. Now they've cleaned out South Africa, they're heading for Australia. Well, this video is going to get out there, and I hope it makes a few heads turn. Several Australian government ministries have spoken favourably about the subsidies, despite Adani companies and family members being embroiled in scandals in India in the past. The latest scandal is bigger. Today, the chairman of South African monopoly power utility Eskom stood down. This followed a raft of other Eskom scalps, and the scandal is engulfing the family of President Jacob Zuma. Now, yes, this article is about 18 months old, but the Adani project is still happening. Well, it's still got to be finalized, but it looks like it's going to happen here in Queensland. According to the Economic Times of India, the leaked emails from the Gupta family show that discussions had been afoot between the Gupta's scandal-plagued Denel Group and the Adani Group. The Gupta family has been trying to establish a company called Denel India, in which Adani Enterprises was to have taken a 33% stake. Adani conceded it has been in talks with Denel, but said it did not pursue the matter. This is common in defense or any other business where everyone talks to everyone, but business is pursued only after rigorous due diligence. Adani Group has no relationship with Denel, said the report, quoting an Adani spokesperson. Denel has been banned in India for almost 10 years as authorities conducted a corruption probe over weapon purchases. Hello? Does that sound like South Africa again? Jeez. In South Africa, the Guptas had endeavoured to convince Eskom to give them money so they could buy a thermal coal mine with the son of the president, Jacob Zuma. Glencore was the seller, and Eskom stood to purchase the coal to the benefit of the Gupta family. Meanwhile, in Australia, on behalf of the Adanis, the federal and Queensland governments are endeavouring to convince the taxpayers to give them money in order to subsidise the export of thermal coal to India via a series of transactions which will benefit the Adani family. The scandal in South Africa is likely to leave opponents of the Carmichael project even more unimpressed. One Tim Buckley, director of the IEFFA, told MichaelWest.com tonight, even without taxpayer subsidies, the Adani project is a white elephant and is oversupplying the seaborne thermal coal market, a market in structural decline. This mine is contrary to Australian national interest. I think the linkage to coal corruption in South Africa and special deals with the Modi's government by Adani is a major credibility hit for the Adani here, particularly as it relates to the probity of the NAIF subsidised loan and the Queensland royalty holiday, not to mention free water. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been on an anti-corruption cane but is associate of Gautam Adani. The scandal is not a good look for the Indian authorities either. Now, isn't that interesting that the Gupta family are now spreading their poisoned little chalice into Australia? What a disgusting piece of crap they are. You know what the Gupta family can do, boys? You can join the club. You haven't done it before, but now you can pog mohorn. Okay? All of you. The whole bloody lot. You can line up in a queue. Arseholes. And here is a very interesting, I don't know if it's a coincidence or if Sanjay Gupta is related to the Guptas who screwed over South Africa. It appears he isn't. I have to tell you. It appears that he actually is a different Gupta. Still Indian, but he grew up in the UK, and it appears that he's unrelated. If someone wants to research that for me and see if there is a tie-in, that'd be very interesting. Why am I saying this? Because right next to the Adani project is a solar power, wind power type project that has been developed by one Sanjeev Gupta. And Adani's not happy about it. Isn't that coincidental? The Indian energy giant Adani, the proponent of the controversial Carmichael coal project in Queensland, Galilee Basin, has raised objections to a large solar farm proposed by Sanjay Gupta's Simek Energy near Whyalla because it says it is worried about the impact on 2 bird species. Oh, you couldn't make this shit up. I mean, here you've got the most corrupt, environmental damaging company in the world now suggesting that someone else is going to actually inflict something on a couple of bird species, and that way they shouldn't have their project approved. The Indian energy giant Adani, we've talked about that. The objection is revealed in planning documents filed to South Australia's State Planning Commission and refers to the 380 million megawatt Kaltana solar farm designed to provide power to the Whyalla steelworks and which just happens to be located right next to a 132 megawatt solar project proposed by Adani Renewables. They don't like competition, do they? The planning documents show that Adani was the only party to raise concerns about the planning approval for the $350 million project, and its particular focus was on the impact of the threatened western grass wren and the slender-billed thornbill, 2 birds. It also expressed concerns about the impact of dust and the site entry, as well as the impact on Aboriginal cultural heritage. It asked whether the project should be referred to the Federal Minister for Environmental Checking under the EPBC Act. Many will find this ironic because Adani has been furiously fighting its own battles for the Carmichael coal project in the Galilee Basin and against concerns about that mine's impact on southern black-throated finch, impacts on the water table and on Aboriginal heritage, and what it means for the struggle to reduce emissions and address climate change. Federal Environment Minister Melissa Price recently granted key approvals to the Adani mine despite concerns raised by the CSIRO. The approval came 2 days before the election was called, and on the morning that the CSIRO was due to testify on the matter to a Senate committee. New documents point to further questions about the approval. Looks like the Guptas have got their fingers in a whole lot of holes, doesn't it? Former Greens leader Bob Brown on Wednesday began a 3-week Stop Adani convoy from Tasmania to the mine site in Queensland and then back to Canberra in protest against the mine. The coalition government and the Murdoch media are just as furiously supporting the coal project. So there you've got the fake news, News Limited, supporting the Guptas. Interesting, isn't it? CIMEC Energy responded to Adani's concerns by making some adjustments to the design of the project, reducing the visual impact on Adani's solar farm, and sought an independent assessment. Surveys found no evidence of either wren or thornbills at the site, but did observe kangaroos, reptiles, one fox and a rabbit. Wacky-do, we've got a kangaroo plague, so that's not an issue, believe me. Still, Adani insisted on making a direct submission to the State Commission Assessment Panel, and the panel's minutes from the April 11 hearing show that Adani's executive, Trish Old, was the only non-CIMEC party to speak on the project. The Commission has kept secret its decision until it's ratified by the state's Energy Minister, Dan van Holst Pelican, who is also the local member. The Kaltana Solar Farm is key to Gupta's plans to build IGW of solar and storage facilities to power the Whyalla Steelworks, which he bought out of administration in late 2017 and also provide cheaper power to other big energy users. It will be paired with a 100 megawatt H big battery to be located next to the now closed coal generation in Port Augusta, and which is also going through the planning approval process. An accompanying proposal for a big pumped hydro project in an old iron ore mine has also been shortlisted for the coalition government underwriting New Generation Investment Programme, or UNGI, although the fate of that programme rests with the outcome of the election, which we just had. We know the Liberal Coalition Party got back in, so it's probably going to be okay. The Kaltana's solar project will comprise 925,000 solar PV panels mounted on single-axis tracking structures and will be split over 2 neighbouring sites, a 210 megawatt north factory and a 700 megawatt south factory across the road. The north site is covered in acacia woodlands and salt bush, while the southern site is disused dairy farm. The project was to have its own battery, but it will instead use the Playford facility planned to be sited next to the Devonport substation to Port Augusta. The facility has been rated at 100 megawatts, or 100 megawatt H, meaning that it will not, as once indicate, beat the so-called Tesla big battery located next to the Hornsdale wind farm, which remains, for the moment, one of the world's biggest lithium-ion batteries at 100 megawatt to 129 megawatt per hour. So there you go. You have this incredible irony where the Guptas have now got their claws into Adani, and Adani is now trying to prevent a competitor build a solar farm close to where it wants to build its solar farm. Isn't that incredible? This is starting to sound like South Africa 2.0, don't you think? But it's happening right here in Australia right now. Now, please remember to subscribe to be kept informed, ring the bell for the updates, and have a great day. Bye for now.